Okay, let's do an account update. We've been trading for 2 days now. Started with $2,000 on Monday morning. I was going to make a video last night, but got busy and didn't have time to get a video uploaded, so we'll go through 2 days worth of trades today. So we started with $2,000. We made $687 today and about $300 yesterday, so we're a little over $1,000 on the week so far. I took 5 trades so far, 3 winners, 1 loss, and 1 break-even trade. So let's go over what I was looking at. So the biggest winner I had was Microsoft, so let's go over that one first. So I'm a technical trader. I look at the charts and the price action, and that tells me what I look at the price action and try to figure out what the price is doing. So I don't use a lot of indicators. I use some. We'll talk about those later, but the number one thing that I go by is supply and demand zones, support and resistance. So if you look here on Microsoft, so the first thing you want to do is kind of get a picture of what's this stock doing. So if you look over the last month or so here, Microsoft has been in a sideways consolidation pattern. Now if you let's make a line here. In between these two lines, you can say this was a consolidation period for about a month. Now it looks like we were going to break out of it. And I was watching for this breakout because we broke out on high volume, which is what you want to see. So Microsoft was looking very strong, and you had this gap back here. And I was actually thinking that this one is going to come up here and fill this gap. I was waiting to go along it when it came back here and tested this area. I like to wait for a high volume breakthrough, which we got right here, and then a low volume pullback to test that. We got a low volume pullback, but the area didn't hold. So you could have very easily gotten trapped right here, but fortunately I didn't take that one. But as soon as this level didn't hold, now I'm thinking we're going to come back down to the bottom of this range. So this was the Friday candle. Now what I do, the number one area that I always watch for when it's support and resistance is previous days highs, lows, and closes. So if we go and mark this area on Friday's low, now we switch it to the 15-minute. This was back here. Now you see, we went up, we filled the gap, but we couldn't hold it. This was Friday's low right here. Put our line there. First 15-minute candle of the day. I normally like to wait 15 to 30 minutes after market open before I take a trade. So the first thing I notice is the first candle of the day. We went up, we filled this little gap here from Friday's close, and we wicked back down. We couldn't hold that. So I saw this consolidation right below the Friday's low, and we saw these wicks going up, and it couldn't get back over, so I entered a short here. And this was Monday, so it came back down here. It didn't give you very much follow through, but this was still a nice, let's say that was still a $4 move there, so I made a good bit of money on that on Monday. And then we started bouncing up, and after I'm in the trade, that's when I normally will turn on an indicator. And the first thing I'll turn on is an EMA, the 9 EMA. So after we got knocked down there, I'll hold until this breaks. Till the EMA is basically to help me watch the trend. So after I entered this trade here, the reason I didn't want to hold this trade very long, let me switch to the hourly chart. If you look back here, we have a lot of support down here on the hourly chart. Let me put a mark there. Let me put a line there. We have this hourly, we have a gap right here and a gap right here and support. So that level made me a little bit nervous. That's why when I got in here, I took profits pretty quick. I think I had 3 contracts. I took my first one as soon as we hit it. Took my second one when we broke under it, and then I got out of the trade once we broke back over the EMA. So you always want to be aware where your support and resistance lines are. If we come back here, you see this was obviously a level of support before, and back here it was resistance. Anytime a level is resistance and support, it's a significant level. So this trade wasn't a home run, it was a base hit trade, but just knowing that level was there, if I would have held this, it would have come back up here and I would have probably took a loss. Now if I would have swung it, I would have done very good, but lately I have not had very much luck swing trading, so I like to close all my positions at the end of the day. So that was Monday. I made, I think it was $200 on this trade. But then, knowing that this stock was still weak, it was one of my top watches this morning, and it was my biggest trade today. So here you see. Now if we switch to today, let's go, we mark the low of the day and the close of yesterday. High, low, and close, that's always what I watch. So now we switch to the 15-minute chart. Initially we held yesterday's low. So that could be a bullish sign. However, look at the volume. We never had any volume. So we inched up here to the gap. And as soon as we rejected this gap, I entered short. I think I got 3 contracts. And we came back down here. And as soon as I saw this wick, I was afraid this level was going to hold. Because as soon as you make a low of a day, that's also a level you should be watching. So we came back down here. We wicked off the low of the day, and I took 1 profit here. But this candle didn't really have any follow through, so I held on, and then we cratered the rest of the day. And this was like a $400 winner here. That was the biggest trade of the week here. Now if you zoom out to the daily, we came back down to the bottom of this consolidation point here. So it's definitely going to be on my watch the rest of the week. We might get a bounce off of here, or if this level breaks, then we're going to head back down to 382 area. So keep Microsoft on your watch for the next day or two. I could see it maybe have an inside consolidation day or something here, but we'll keep an eye on it the rest of the week. So Microsoft, that was my biggest winner this week. Now the next big winner that I had was Palantir, ticker PLTR. Now if you look at that, it's basically the same setup that Microsoft had. We had this long consolidation period, and then we had this strong move up out of that consolidation period. Get rid of some of these lines. So we had this strong move up. We broke over this level, and this started to look like a long opportunity. We had nice big volume breaking out of this. Had a low volume pullback. Again, this would have looked like a possible long here, but if you zoom out, you see all this up here. Right here you have a double top, came up, triple topped. So as soon as this didn't hold, this was on short watch for me. Now, PLTR is not a stock that I trade that often, so it wasn't on top of my watch, but so I didn't see this move. Last week, this would have been a great move last week. But this morning, I saw this little bear flag here, and I was watching for this break, mark the low of the day. Now let's switch to the 15-minute. Basically the same setup that Microsoft had. Initially, it held the low, pushed up, got rejected by the yesterday's close. Yesterday's close was up here. This was the low. So we held the low on the first candle. Decent volume, but got rejected by the close. Broke back under the early morning low, and I got short in here. So this was another huge win for me. I mean, after that broke, it was a waterfall down. Now, here again, knowing where your levels are, it's a lot of support down here. So I actually got out a little. I just sold contracts along the way. On this big extension here, I sold most of mine because it was a big extension and the volume didn't increase as much as I wanted to, but so I got out of most of mine here. Obviously could have made a lot more if I would have helped, but you never know. Came back down to this level and we bounced off of it. So this is another one that if this level breaks, it's going to be another short opportunity, but this level might hold. We might start working our way back up to the top end of this range. So keep that one on watch. Now the third one is Apple. Now this one, I was disappointed in this one. I shouldn't be disappointed with the money I made this week, but this one could have been a game changer. So the Monday candle, look at this big upper wick. So the reason I missed it, I almost missed this trade because on Monday this stock was the strongest of all the Mag 7 stocks, and it was trying to make a new all-time high. It actually did make an all-time high, and I thought this one was going to go higher, so I kind of took my eyes off of it. The next time I looked at it, this thing is cratering. I mean, we went from what is that high? From 317 all the way back down to 306. And if you turn to the 15-minute, we pushed and we pushed. We came up here to the all-time high level, and it got smacked. So I watched this, and then we come down. So we marked the Friday's low right there. Waited till that broke. So after I saw this big rejection at the high, I knew this was going to be a short opportunity. I watched for the break of Friday's low. Go to the 15-minute. We broke Friday's low, flagged under here. I entered short. But then it kind of just drifted down into the end of the day. And I made a little bit of money there, but this one should have been a swing play, but I didn't like to swing it because it was a quick. I wasn't planning on shorting Apple. I don't like changing my mind so quickly. Like, I was thinking this one long if it breaks the high, and then it rejected, and I don't like to just turn around and short something I was thinking long, but so I like to wait. And I broke this low, I entered, drifted down, took some profits, but this one, if I would have hung on to this one today, that would have been a game changer. But this morning, this was my number one watch for a short this morning. So if I marked the low of the day, turned the 15-minute, it never got back up there. I mean, first 15-minute, first hour was just straight down, no pullbacks. So it never gave me a chance to get in. Had this little flag down here, but at that point the ADR was extended so far that I didn't feel comfortable taking the short down here anymore. So I just missed that play today. But if somebody caught that, you could have gotten this triple top up here and had a $20 short. That would have paid the bills for weeks. Golly. Can't believe I missed that, but oh well. Alright, the fourth one I traded was Hood. Took a loss on this one. This one, you had this massive move up. Kind of like most stocks had this move up 2 weeks ago. Then it pulled back into this level on Friday. And it held this level. So I was looking for a long on this one this morning. So marked the high of the day today and the close. Turned to the 15-minute. had this nice push off the open and pulled back and held this close. And I entered right here. I went with pretty big size here because I thought this was going to be a grade A play, and it probably would have been if the market hadn't been so weak. But once this candle held this gap, I thought for sure this was going to be a winner. But level couldn't hold, broke down, and I stopped out. The key is to recognize when you're wrong and get out. You're not going to be right every time. And this was a A+ setup. Just didn't work out. So I took a loss on that one. And then Amazon, that was the break-even trade I had. This one has been a tricky one to trade recently. It doesn't want to trend. I mean, it drifts lower, but it gaps up, and yeah, it's just been a tough one to trade. But I was fortunate not to take a big loss. Today, broke down below. Ignore this candle. That's a misprint. Sometimes it does that. I don't know why. But right here we broke down below yesterday's low. Flagged. I entered here. We pushed up. I was just about to get stopped out. And it broke back down. I thought, okay, here we're going to go now. Held on, then it popped back up. So I got out of this one pretty much break even. I think on this, I sold half my position on this push down because I was just not getting the follow through I wanted. So I sold 2 contracts made profit on 2 contracts, and then it popped back up over and I got out. So that was my break even trade. So overall, hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to explain my strategy, but basically, you don't need any fancy indicators. All you need is price action and candles. Watch for your supply and demand zones and support and resistance. So tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see. The rest of the week looks pretty interesting. So tomorrow morning, if you look on the economic calendar, we have CPI coming out tomorrow morning. And this thing has been creeping up lately, last couple months. Inflation keeps getting hotter, and I don't know why people seem to try to shrug it off. But I have a feeling one of these days this one's going to come in really hot and people are going to freak out. So we'll see what it does tomorrow. And then Thursday, we have PPI. Same thing there. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. The previous one was 1.4% last month. And they're expecting half of that. Somebody explain to me how that makes any sense. With the price of gas going up the way it is, how can this be half what it was last month? I guess that's why I'm not an expert, because that doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, we'll see what that does. But I think the biggest thing going into the end of this week is going to be inflation news. So we'll see what that happens, and we'll keep our eyes on the charts and see what happens. Always trade the chart. Don't trade the news. Don't trade instinct. I mean, at a certain point, instinct can be helpful, but gut feelings can be deceiving. But if I'm looking at these charts, like a lot of these charts that are at key bounce levels, Palantir, I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm going to be watching for a Palantir long tomorrow. I'm going to be watching for a Microsoft long tomorrow. Apple, I'm expecting an inside day on Apple tomorrow, so that's probably going to be a tough one. Hopefully you guys had a good day trading. Let me know in the comments what you did, how you did, and what you're watching for tomorrow. See you in the next one.